Coming up on today's episode, every time we think we're out, the Warrens pull us right back in again in The Conjuring, The Last Rites. Stay tuned.
How many cases you guys had?
Cases. My name is Ed Warren, here with my wife Lorraine.
Maybe 1,000.
Welcome, folks, to the Morgue, where we dissect the latest and greatest in the world of entertainment. But just before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe. It'll help us out a bunch. I am Arturo Padilla, your host, and with me always is Mr. Nick Valdez. Tex, we have a party with the Warrens again. How are you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing well. Howdy everybody. Howdy Arturo. The Conjuring Last Rites.
The
This
Last
is
Rites, Bobby.
The Conjuring Last Rites. It is the fourth official film in the Conjuring series. But if you think of the universe as a whole, this is like number 9, I think. 9 or 10 if you want to include La Llorona, which Arturo does not, which is Arturo's been on record
You
in the
should
morgue
just
in the
forget
past.
about La Llorona completely,
Yeah,
please.
because just like a quick little breakdown of the universe as a whole, right? So it's like the Conjuring, Conjuring 2, The Devil Made Me Do It, Last Rites, that's the main series. Then you had the spin-offs, right?
Yes.
You had Annabelle, what
Comes
was it?
home, right?
There,
Oh,
well,
no,
there's
Creation
yes, there's Annabelle Creation, then Annabelle Comes Home.
comes home, yep.
Then you had the Nun 2. So that's like 9 movies, and then La Llorona, which is number
Sadly,
10. Yes.
yes.
So sadly, that was the one that they tried and it just did not work. And so all of that's to say, The Conjuring Last Rites is the Warrens come back once again for what is touted to be as their last adventure. And just speaking spoiler free throughout this entire review, we won't be giving it away how it ends, whether or not it is the last one. uh I I think, okay, this is already like I'm like already breaking my spoiler rule here, but kind of like, yeah, the vibe is like this feels like a goodbye. But is this the end of the Conjuring universe? In the end of the Conjuring series? We will discuss that with some news a little bit here towards the end. But so this is the Conjuring Last Rites. The Warrens are called for one one last time. That's kind of the vibe going in too, because it's like they're at the end of their careers.
Yeah, it's their
They
Unforgiven.
Yes. They are, when we meet them this time, they're at the end of their careers. They already, they're speaking to classes of students, but those classes aren't packed at all. Basically, the whole idea of anyone being interested in their work is like the idea is like, oh, it's not really, the buzz isn't there anymore, right, Arturo? Like,
Yeah,
I think,
yes, correct. Because also, this movie takes place in the 80s, and it's funny
yes.
because this is when Ghostbusters gets released and it gets brought up in the movie. So now
Yeah.
the Warrens are living in a world where the Ghostbusters exist, and their whole livelihood and their careers are kind of being trolled on, by the students. There's jokes going around if they're like the Ghostbusters and if they got any ectoplasm on them or anything like that. So
Yeah.
they're
And
at a stage in their career where it's the twilight of their careers, you can say, pretty much.
Yeah, and a new mission comes along with a strange mirror that seems to be possessed by something, but that also has ties to the Warrens' past.
Mhm.
And this is kind of like a whole culmination. Like that's why it's like it's a little bit of a spoiler to say that this is all like it's all got last ride vibes. Like this is literally like
One
this is the
last ride.
yeah, it's that's kind of the vibe for the whole thing. You have an older Ed and Lorraine who are like, yo, this is really it. Because that's kind of like the devil made me do it. That's kind of what they were trying to imply in that
Yes.
movie. Because Ed was, basically like he had poor health the entire movie. He's like walking with like a cane and stuff. and the idea was like, oh, Lorraine's pushing herself too far. That was what they tried to do there.
Mhm.
And with like and I think it was like 70s era too at that time.
Yes,
So like
correct.
basically with this one they really did cement it as like a okay, like this really is the one last time Ed and Lorraine are going, because they initially tried to deny it. And okay, so getting into the movie itself, right, Arturo? So the Conjuring Last Rites. Man, okay,
Where do you start, right?
yeah,
Like
because
where do we start with this movie? Because again, folks, this is the fourth Conjuring movie. And as Tex mentioned, what, the 10th in
yeah,
the whole
it's
universe.
yes, and I'm probably
Um
forgetting one. Like I'm like, as we were listing them, like, oh, I'm sure there's one other one that we're forgetting, but yeah,
it because Tex, like it's like every time we think we got out, Tex, the
yeah,
universe pulls us right back in again.
yeah,
And
because that's kind of what happens here, right?
yes,
It's yeah,
they found a good story to tell. Whether it was entirely successful remains to be seen, but I think with this story, they made amends for The Devil Made Me Doo Doo, right?
yeah,
Um,
it straight up
and
did, yeah,
I even found this one a little bit more engaging than part 2. Part 2, it takes a while to ramp up because they spend so much time with the family and they
yeah,
have all this like, happy, lucky, do-gooder stuff going on with Ed making pancakes all the time over there. And I think this one, because it's the fourth one, we get the gist of it, right? It's like, okay, cool. There's a family in need. Let's get to it. It does take its time to get to it, I do have to
and
say.
that's
Yeah,
I think that's the issue that we've been
that's a
dancing around,
major
right?
gripe that I know I had it, and I know a text had speaking with him afterwards, that it
Yeah,
just takes too long to get to the action. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's a very like I don't even know like if you want to say deliberately paced. I don't think so either. Like I think it's just like yo,
it
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 takes its
kind of is though. I think
yeah,
though, Tex, I think that's the best way to put it because they want to kind of make the audience spend time with both the Warrens as a
yeah,
family and the Smurl family, which is the family that's possessed in the movie. I mean, not possessed entirely, but they're getting haunted in the movie. So the movie tries to kind of go back and forth and it tries to do their best with that juggling act, but like what happens is that you spend all this time with the Warrens and then you spend all this time with the Smurls. Your brain is like, do I want to go back to the Warren story or do I want
yes,
to go back to the Smurls? So,
and
like
that's
me
what it
personally,
that's exactly what it is.
yeah, like
Yeah,
me personally, I kind of wanted to stick with the Smurl family after things got really crazy in the house. But when you think you're gonna stick with them, it just goes right back to the Warren family. And it kind
yes,
of does that yo-yo act for a little bit until we get to the nitty-gritty in the middle of act two or so.
yeah, because that's the thing too. It also focuses on their daughter, who like who's grown up throughout these movies. You
Mhm.
saw her in like Conjuring 2.
Yeah.
In Annabelle Comes Home was like her biggest role as a character up until this point. With McKenna Grace, shout outs to Annabelle Comes Home. If you
Yeah.
haven't seen that one, like this is also just like an aside to say like, oh, Annabelle Part 3, that's probably whack. But honestly, it's like one of the best Conjuring Universe
It
movies
is.
of like, yeah,
It's one of the best horror movies, period, of the last like 10 years.
yeah,
Honestly,
it's
it's so well
really
done.
good. It's really good, and
They
that's
figured it out with that one for
yeah,
sure.
because they're able to make use of that room that the Warrens talk about all the time,
Mhm.
and like, and that's finally like we finally got it there. But here, it's so I agree with Arturo in that like there's a lot of like back and forth between these stories, but also I I like that there's more of the Warrens this time. I like that there's such a focus because when you get to because at the same time, like I understand when you look at Conjuring One and you look at Conjuring One and like and you even revisit it now, you're like, yo, this is a perfect movie in
Yeah,
that
it's
like
great. It's a great one.
it's not only do you care about the family, it's so focused on the family that it's their story, and the Warrens come in as a tool in that
Mhm.
story. Like they don't come in until like maybe man, it's a while into that movie, right? Where it's like maybe I want to say like 30 minutes or so in. Like it feels
Yeah.
that way when you
Yeah,
watch
yeah,
it, right?
because like it really focuses on, like you mentioned, Tex, on that family and the dynamics of the family and what they're going through and their lives. And then the Warrens just come in, as Tex beautifully put it, as a tool to fight off this evil.
It's
Yeah.
the same with part two, but it's less
Yes.
successful in part two because
Yes.
they balloon the family part too much. And with part
Correct.
three, they kind of ruined this by having a story, like a normal mission story that just wasn't interesting at all. And in here, they have that problem on two fronts where it's like they focus a lot more on the Warrens with good reason, because it's like if this is going to be their goodbye, you kind of want them to have the most substantive material, right? Like you kind of want them to have the best material of the movie. But at the
Yes.
same time, they also develop the family to an extent where you're like, oh, there's some really good scenes with that family, right? And you kind of want to
Yeah, the
stick
two older
with them.
sisters are really good actresses too. Like this is why I kind of wanted to spend some more time with them, because they were very smartly developed and written characters that kind
Yes.
of understood that, hey, we have an evil force messing with us. We got to do
Yeah.
something here. And I love the dynamic between the two sisters, the two older sisters, and I really thought that that was a good pathway to continue the story throughout the movie. But alas, we have to focus on the Warrens,
Yeah.
and,
Because
and what
it
the
does get
Warrens are
dropped.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah, because that sister story ultimately goes nowhere.
Yeah, because
Like
like you go from like, "Hey, no one believes us, but we know something's happening," to like they had to crank it up a little bit in order to kind of speed up the entire narrative by like showing the dad finally getting haunted.
by the time like by the time the Warrens are involved, it's like they say, "Oh, we've been through this for like weeks already," right? And it's like,
Yes,
"Oh,
yes.
okay." The timeline has
Yeah.
gone to such an extent that the Warrens aren't in these people's lives until they've all been like possessed at some point. And unfortunately, as Arturo's saying, we don't get that. Like we don't get to see that part of the stuff. We
Mhm.
It's mostly focused on their daughter, and she's like, seeing spirits of her own, and like she's doing the whole Lorraine thing, of doing the whole like she's got powers like her mother, and she's seeing this spirit, and this spirit is connected to the Warrens' past. And does this spirit want their daughter? And that's kind of the whole push and pull of their story. Like I said, it's both a positive and a negative. It's a positive in that, like, I like the Warrens. I really, Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, like, once again, they know what they're doing by this point, right? Like they're vets as the Warrens. Like they
Yeah.
understand their role in a story, and they get a lot more to chew on, and they're both good here. And when it all comes to the third act and they're doing their thing, it pays off because by that point you care about the Warrens. But at the same time, it's like, yo, did we need to spend any time with that other family? Right? It also begs that question. It's like, oh, would this have been a cleaner cut movie if it were just the Warrens?
Mm,
And
I
then,
I don't agree with that. I don't think so, because in
right?
these kinds
Okay.
of movies, what I really think makes these movies work, these religious horror movies, right, is spending some time with the victim. Like you
Yeah.
want to care for these people who are being, infested and possessed and being tormented. Like you want to see their story. The Smurl family story was very interesting in that the way the story was being told was through the sisters at first. I thought that's why it was working.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, like they completely wanted to focus more on the Warrens and their, Avengers pretty much
Yeah.
of the
This is
Conjuring
basically
universe.
this you're I think that's the perfect way to do, like, to describe it. The Conjuring Last Rites is basically the Conjuring Endgame, right? This is their
Yeah.
wrap up of like,
Yeah.
the entire universe is all building up to this one thing. And I think in that sense too, like in that grander scale, that might have been a misstep, because like when you get to like the ghosts and stuff themselves, it's
It's
a
very
little
mid.
bit of a bummer, right? Kind of
Yeah.
mid, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like the whole thing is like, oh, there's other there's a main demon and he's using other demons to, to mask his true intentions and blah 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 blah. But like it's very it's a letdown when it comes to the actual scares of this movie. Let me rephrase that.
Well,
The
even that too.
the
Like the
scary characters,
yeah,
I feel that they did the spooky, creepy stuff well, like the atmospheric horror, I thought was done well. The characters, like this character you guys see on your screen right now, this is one of the demons that was used on a consistent basis throughout this
yeah.
haunting.
His whole thing was that he was like, well, that's a little bit of a spoiler, but even then, it's like,
No, yeah,
he's like
yeah,
he was like a farmer who like found out his wife was cheating or something.
or something
Yeah,
like that. He went
and
crazy, blah
it's
blah
yeah,
blah.
and it's those three people are now ghosts that the demon is using, and like
It's like,
yeah,
okay, cool, but
but
like
yeah, then the
even
visuals
when
of them themselves, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's not great. It really isn't great. But like I said, they do a very admirable job in making sure the creep factor and the atmosphere is definitely there.
yeah, it's
Um,
classic Conjuring stuff.
yeah,
There's a lot of
yeah, one
good
hundred
like
percent.
there's a like I think that's why that family story is so interesting in the beginning too, right? Like because that initial haunting, right, of like I think we can point it out as like a real example, like the
Yeah.
whole phone cord in the dark closet
Oh, it's
kind of thing, right?
so good. Yeah,
Yeah, like
that's akin to the clap in part one.
yes. So like
Super smart.
yeah,
Yeah,
and you see it set up. You see it set up during like when you're meeting the family for the
yeah.
first time, and you see that setup, and in your mind, you're like, okay, that's definitely coming up to play later. And when it kicks in, like maybe like 5 minutes after, you're like, oh, they wasted no time to get to this. And
Yeah, it's so smart too. They do a lot of practical stuff when it comes to the spooks. But what I really liked was the final boss battle at the
yes,
climax of this movie. This is why those demons are a little disappointing because that final boss battle was better than anything we got like in the entire movie, honestly.
yeah,
So
because
I kind of wanted more of that.
yeah, because it's so visually interesting, right? Like
Yeah,
they
it's
do
an
some stuff
intense.
during that.
Yes.
They do some stuff during that climax, during that final boss battle that like it gets so big, and you're like, oh, this is actually super
Yes.
cool, and it's like it's only like it's the kind of like it's a full on battle, like
The
it
power
really
of
is.
God compels you, Tex.
Yeah, like it's a full on like. Oh, this is only something you can do after 10 Conjuring Universe movies, right? Of like,
Yes. Yeah, because, like, you've
allow
already
us to
gotten
actually
yes, exactly.
yes.
You've already gotten so far with these characters where you're like, "You know what? F it.
Yeah,
Let's
just superpowers, right? Like
let's
God
let me
superpowers.
have it." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And and
Yeah.
it's so cool that what we get before is just like, oh, that's not as interesting. And
Yeah,
that's the thing.
like, I
I
mean,
think that's what you're yeah.
yeah, it's tough though because like they want to keep up the dread factor and the
Right.
horror and stuff throughout the movie, but as Tex mentioned, the character designs like it's no Valak, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's no Bathsheba, it's no Annabelle. So you
yeah,
get some really
it's no
like
crooked man or anything like
yeah,
that.
you
Like,
get
yeah.
really generic looking
Dude,
horror stuff, you
dude,
know?
one is an old lady, and it's like, yeah, okay, but like when you think back to it, like, yo, part one was a witch.
Still to this day, fucking terrifying. My
Yeah,
goodness.
like,
It's funny
yeah.
because the old lady reminded me of, like, the old lady from Spirited Away, the little old lady, right? But just kind of, like, all with terrible makeup. But,
Yeah, it's the old lady that was like something was off about her, right? And that was always the cool thing
yeah.
about that Baba's design, or I forget the lady's name, but yeah, and that's the thing, like, and that kind of Arturo touched on this a little bit, but yeah, this is the subjective part of it, quote unquote, of a horror review is scare factor, right? And it's like something that might not scare us, might
Yeah.
scare others, but I think that all ties into the fact that like these demons aren't necessarily the most visually interesting, and I don't think there's like a big there's no big moment you can call back to here. Like there are like we mentioned like the phone cord in the closet like as like a cool like Conjuring Universe thing. Like the
Yeah.
Conjuring's always good at like little camera tricks like that. But like you also kind of want jump scares, right? Like you kind of want to like be able to like be really into it and then go, whoa, like you want the jump, right? And
Yeah.
to
Uh,
for me personally, this movie never really had a moment completely where I was like, I never got the full jump scare. I don't know.
Yeah,
What about you, Arturo?
I think the phone cord gimmick was one of the peaks of
Right,
uh of their scare tactics. I mean, it it could have done more, especially the fact that there was this whole object of a mirror in this movie being used all throughout. I think
right,
more could have been done with that mirror and any kind of reflection horror stuff. Like we see one in the one scene where Judy, the daughter, is trying on a wedding dress, right? You guys see this in the trailer, so it's not even a spoiler here. Where it's like it looks like a hall of mirrors kind of thing,
right.
and that was done well. But like we needed more of those sprinkled throughout the
Yeah,
movie in order for us to really be affected by what those demons were doing. In my opinion,
yeah, and that's what it is. It never like I think it would have been solved if we went with Arturo's pitch of like spending more time with the family. I think if we got a little more of the family, a little more of that Conjuring One balance of like seeing more of the hauntings themselves, it would have lent more opportunities to the full jump scare horror things that people are hoping to see. But on
yeah,
the other hand of that, if you like the Warrens, and that's the thing, right? It's like it depends what kind of Conjuring fan you are, right? Like, are you watching these Conjuring movies because you're hoping to be scared, or are you watching them because you're like, yo, it's another Warren adventure? And funny enough, Arturo, before we get to like the wrap up stage, the Conjuring Last Rites might or might not be the final thing of the Conjuring series. So there are already reports that the that Warner Brothers is interested in both a prequel for the Warrens, like a series, like a prequel series, like following younger Warrens, and like I that's what it's like. Oh, okay. If this is a goodbye to the Warrens, it might just be a goodbye to Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson at
Patrick
this point.
Wilson. I
So
mean, like, listen, like if they really want to start a universe, right? TV is definitely where they can do it, especially with
right,
streaming the way it is now. They can do like one case every season,
yeah,
and
it's
you know
kind
what I
of
mean.
built for that, right? It is
Um,
built for to eventually show us more of the room, right? To like show us
yeah.
all the little
Um,
objects.
but like I'm good. You had your chance.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
like, especially after, Annabelle Comes Home, right? And we were
yeah,
like, "Yo, this is how you gotta treat this universe. You do, like, 1 movie for every object here, kind of, you know what I mean? Or like an
right.
or an anthology of, like, the tales of these objects here, but, like, I don't wanna see the Warrens are fine. Like in Last Rites, I wanted to see more of the family. I wanted
Right.
to see more of how that infestation and that possession, whatever you want to call it, um, how that took hold because it was really interesting um in terms of the the actions you get from that family. So you meet them and then you're eating and then there's this mirror there and things start happening and
And
then
there,
they
yeah, there is some cool stuff, and that's the
yes.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Like that opening, that opening, man, not the real opening because there is like an opening with the Warrens in the
Yeah.
past, and that kind of sets up. But once it gets to the family, that intro family scene till about the last time we see them for a good chunk, right? Like it's like, yeah, it's that's good material there because there are some interesting ideas that like especially with the mirror, that there are some cool gimmicks with it with the sisters and but it's also what Arturo says is like I wish there was more. Like wish there was more of the mirror stuff. Like
Yeah, and then we spend a lot of time with the Warrens, right?
yeah.
Which necessarily we didn't need to spend that much time with them. Because it was just a lot of fluff, I can say. If you want the Warren story, fine, you'll probably like those scenes. But even then, I just think it would like they were so prolonged, it took away from, the conjuring aspect of things, which is
Yeah,
why I came to the theater.
yeah.
All that said, and wrapping up my end of this review here, I went in with very low expectations. very low expectations, and I came out actually enjoying the movie because of that, especially after part three and the disappointing kind of okay part two. I really wanted The Conjuring and the Warrens to get back to, like, this ghost busting thing. And I think they did a good job with that in the third act. And that's the last and that really stays with you in this movie is that final act. And I think that was well done. So I think this movie was a success in terms of um getting the message that they wanted out there. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say it was a critical success, you know what I mean? Because it has its problems. But for a Conjuring movie, for a Conjuring Universe movie, I should say, I think this one is one of the better ones, honestly. It is rather on the long side, but I think all in all, it was a successful trip back to the Conjuring Universe, Tex. Um, what say you before we grade this thing?
I I think I do agree. Like I like the Warren side more than I like the other side, and I think that's where I'm sitting with it. But
Understandable.
even then, like I think I think funny enough, I think we're ending up in the same area of like I like the Warren stuff, and I liked because ultimately it does pay off. That's the thing. Like
Yeah,
if you're there for the Warrens and you want to see this Warren adventure come to a close, which I know it's like spoilers to say that is this the final one?
but it's the
It
last rites, Tex.
yeah,
People
like
should
it
know,
kind of
damn it. It's the
yeah,
last rites.
yeah, it's kind of like a goodbye. Like it's kind of like this is the end game. Like and when you get to that third act, it really does feel like it's paying off. And it really does feel like if you've watched 10 of these Conjuring Universe movies, you
We have.
will like you are going, yes, like we have. I did
We
not see
definitely
La
have.
Llorona, so that is the one that is missing from my repertoire here.
You're not
But
missing much there.
yeah, so I will say that if you've watched all these and you like the Warrens, then you will enjoy that aspect of it. You might want more of the horror side, which is what both me and Arturo are at with this. It's like, yeah, like if you go in looking for scares, you might be a little disappointed, but the story's really interesting here. I can't lie. I think that would be a disservice to the buddies at home to say that the story is not interesting. It really
Yeah,
is.
it
Like
is interesting. Yeah.
so,
So that said, Tex, you know how we do it here at the morgue, right, folks? We can either stay away from it, we can wait for it, or we can pay for it. I I'm gonna say for me, this is a wait for it. It is good in terms of the Conjuring universe as a whole, but again, the standard in this universe will forever be the first Conjuring movie. It's never nothing that came after even comes close to that original Conjuring movie. So this is a wait for it. I think you'll enjoy this more when it comes out around October and the streamers. You can enjoy it for spooky season. Tex, what do you think?
yeah, I also await for it. This is one that when you watch it, on when it's eventually streaming on HBO Max, you can watch it and you're like, oh yeah, it's not that bad. And I think that's ultimately what the response is going to be from anybody who watches it from now on. Like, you might hear it being bashed by people online or for whatever, but like at this point, I think, like Arturo said, like if you watched any of these Conjuring movies, if you watched part three and are still interested in watching this
Yeah.
fourth one, then you're gonna walk out of it going, "Oh, it's not that bad." And
Yeah.
honestly, it's better than two. So, like on a ranking scale, like it's Conjuring one, then Conjuring Last Rites, which
It's
is
better
like,
than
yo,
weapons.
yeah, it's Conjuring one, Conjuring Last Rites, and then maybe Weapons. But within this Conjuring universe, this is one of the better ones. Maybe it doesn't beat out Annabelle Comes Home, and it doesn't beat out The Conjuring, like Arturo said. But like, at this point, nothing will. I 100% agree. Like, The Conjuring's kind of like that. It was perfect. Like, it's a perfect. Like, it
It's
was.
quintessential horror in my opinion.
Yeah, it's
In
kind
my
of like a
opinion, in my opinion,
y-
yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things where like if you're introducing someone to horror, right? Like and you're like, "Oh, you only get like maybe 10 movies on a list to like show someone who's never seen horror for the first time." that's one of those ones where you're like, all right, The Conjuring's definitely going on there.
100%.
And it launched a universe because it was so good. And here we are now saying goodbye to it with The Conjuring Endgame.
Maybe, right?
Oh yeah, that's
Maybe.
true. I say that, but then here come the Warrens show. Probably here comes another
Remember
spin-off,
what happened in
likely. Like,
Endgame, right? They brought
yeah,
everyone back again, Tex.
yeah. So I guess we'll see.
I guess we'll see them again. And folks, thank you so much. This has been the review for The Conjuring Last Rites. Don't forget to like and subscribe on the video. It would help us out bunches and bunches. And thank you for checking us out on all the socials. You can like, subscribe, and share. You can check out all of our past episodes in the archives wherever you get your podcast and here on YouTube. Um, and again, folks, remember, it is a scary world out there, but we are here to walk you through it.